Ever have problems with an inheritance in your family? A couple weeks back, I read a question in a financial column. A woman was writing in saying that her husband, and I'm guessing it was maybe her second husband, did not get along at all with her daughter. And she was worried that if she died first, her husband would cut her daughter out of the will. That's just one example of many where there are inheritance problems. You might remember that in Luke chapter 15, the prodigal son story starts with an inheritance issue. So, when someone comes to Jesus in Luke chapter 12 and verse 13 and says, "Command my brother to divide the share of the inheritance with me," it's no accident. So, for 2,000 years or more, people have been squabbling over inheritances. Why? Well, let me give you a little bit of background on Jesus' times and then ask you a question. So there was a big building boom under Herod the Great, and then when Herod the Great dies in 4 BC, his son Herod Antipas takes over in Galilee. They built and expanded cities such as Sepphoris, such as even Caesarea Philippi and Caesarea on the seacoast. And there was this boom which benefited some and which left others behind. So the villagers didn't have access to the building boom. Well, they were kind of left behind in the bonanza. In addition, there had been a huge expansion of the temple down in Jerusalem, and thousands of people worked on the temple during the times of Herod the Great. So when the man comes to Jesus and wants to make sure he gets a fair share of the inheritance, he's probably facing some economic uncertainty, while others were in a building boom, and we know when there's a building boom, sometimes prices skyrocket. What's your biggest economic fear? Is it medical bills? Is it having enough money in retirement? Is it taxes? Is it things that will eat away at your housing costs, such as repairs? What's your biggest economic fear? Jesus has already said some crucial things about money in the Gospel of Luke. Let me just remind you of a couple of them. So in chapter 6, he said that given it shall be given unto you. Live a generous life. And in chapter 6, he worried about the danger of riches, excessive riches. And he's going to talk more about money in this chapter, chapter 12, chapter 18, and chapter 19. But money is a concern when some people are making fortunes and others are being left behind. The solution? Come to Jesus with the right questions and ask Jesus the way that our approach to our money reveals things in our heart. For Jesus is going to say that we have to beware of greed. Strange thing to think about, but sometimes greed pops up its head even when we don't expect it, because there seems to be people making a lot of money, and we think we should get a piece of the pie too. Let's talk more about this as we notice the parable Jesus is going to tell about a man who builds bigger barns, a man who seems to have it all, but in the end has nothing. And we'll learn the lesson there as we go on. So tune in tomorrow and we'll talk about what happens to him. This is your daily devotional for Tuesday. I hope you're doing well. Hope you'll seek first the kingdom of God and let the Lord do exceeding abundantly beyond all you can ask or think. Pray for the church and pray for me. And God bless you for pondering the words of Jesus again and again in these daily devotionals. God bless you as you serve him today.